Live from Denver, Colorado, this is Before the Chop, the morning show for barbers. Here's your host, David Ford.
Good morning, barbers, the fade technicians, the booth rent renegades, and the small business owners who didn't realize they signed up to be small business owners. You're locked in to what I'm going to call the most important show you'll watch all week. And I say that with all the humility of a man talking to a camera in a room by himself. This is the only morning show on the internet built around the business behind the chair, which makes us officially the #1 barber business show in the world. It also makes us the only one, but I've made an executive decision to not dwell on that technicality today. I'm David Ford, and as of this morning, I have appointed myself your barbershop chief financial officer. No degree, no credentials, no authority of any kind whatsoever, just a guy with a pair of clippers and a number that's going to ruin your afternoon. So, in the interest of fairness, in the interest of transparency, and in the interest of me finally getting it off my chest, here is your one warning. What I'm about to show you, you are not going to be able to unsee. All right. So let me introduce you to a man named Marcus. He sat in my chair every 2 weeks for the better part of 6 years. Good dude, easy haircut, never late, never weird, never once made me earn it the hard way. The kind of client that you would take a whole shop full of. And in 6 years of that man sitting right in front of me, I never once asked myself the only question that actually mattered about him. What is Marcus worth to me? Not the $40 he set on the counter on a Tuesday, the whole thing, 6 years of Tuesdays. Here's the embarrassing part. I could have told you my booth rent to the penny in my sleep backwards. But what the guy in my chair was actually worth to me over the course of those 6 years, I didn't have the faintest idea. Never ran it, not once. And that gap right there, knowing my costs cold and having no clue what a single human being in my chair was actually worth, that was the most expensive blind spot I ever had as a barber by a mile. So today, we go fix yours. By the time we're done, you'll be able to put a real hard number on the person sitting in front of you. And I'm telling you right now, it's bigger than you think. Probably a lot bigger. This is a longer episode than usual. And I did that on purpose. Because this is the episode I most wish someone had sat me down and walked me through 10 years ago. So settle in. We're going to take our time today. And stick around to the back half because I'm going to tell you about a barber who took $11 and a pair of clippers and turned them into the first black fortune the city of Atlanta ever saw. $11. I promise you, that story is worth the wait. And if anything that comes up that you want on the show, the chat's wide open, the comments are open, Instagram DMs are open, and also mailitbeforethechop.com. However you're rolling with us this morning, whether it's the drive-in, the break room, the chair before your first head walks in, pull up a chair, you're with your people. So let's get this week started right. Let's talk about what one client is actually worth to you. There's a lie in this industry, and it keeps good barbers broke. It goes something like this. The artist's cut, the suits count. Knowing your numbers is like the most unbarber thing you could possibly do. Real barbers just focus on the work. I believed that for years, and I'm here to tell you it's backwards. Knowing what a client is worth to you isn't greedy, it isn't corporate, it's respect. It's respect for your own time and respect for the relationship. Because when you actually know what someone in your chair is worth over the long haul, you stop treating them like a $40 or $50 transaction and you start treating them like what they actually are. The one thing your entire business is built on. The barber who knows their numbers is gentler with their clients, not harder. They stop chasing every new face that walks by and start protecting the handful of people who have been showing up for years. You can't protect what you haven't measured. And I want to be clear with something before we go any further. This isn't about turning your chair into a calculator and seeing dollar signs where a person's head should be. It's the opposite. The number is just the thing that finally makes you treat the relationship like it matters, because now you can see what it has actually been giving you this whole time. The math serves the human, not the other way around. If you need to get out of here, there's your mindset minute. So let's get back to Marcus, and let's actually do the thing I never did. So Marcus comes in for a cut. Let's call it $40. Most weeks, it was just the haircut. But maybe 1 in 3, he'd get his beard done, or he'd grab a thing of pomade on his way out the door. So his real average was sitting just a little north of 40. Hold on to that, because that's the first piece. It's what a typical visit with him is actually worth, everything in, not just the number on the menu. So how often did he come? Every 2 weeks. Do the math on that, and it's about 26 visits a year. Not 12, 26. This is the number barbers skip right past, and it's the one that runs everything. The guy who comes in every 2 weeks is worth more than double the guy who comes in once a month for the exact same service. Same skill out of your hands, double the value because of frequency alone. And then the piece that nobody draws out because it sits across years instead of weeks. How long did he stay? 6 years. So picture the whole arc. $40-some a visit, 26 visits a year, 6 years deep. Run that all the way out, and Marcus was never a $40 client. Marcus was somewhere north of $6,000 walking through my door, one Tuesday at a time. I was looking at the 40, but the real number had another 2 zeros behind it. And here's the part that should land. What did it cost me to get Marcus in my chair the very first time? Well, he came off of one Instagram post and a buddy's recommendation. Call it $20 of my time and effort generously. $20 in, $6,000 out. Sit with that ratio for a second. And I haven't even counted the part that makes Marcus worth more than his own number. The good ones bring people with them. Marcus sent me his brother. He sent me 2 guys from his job. He sent me his kid the year his kid got old enough to care about what his hair actually looked like. So that $20 post didn't just buy me one $6,000 client. It bought me Marcus and the whole little tree of people he vouched for me to, each one of them with their own 6 years sitting in front of them. That's the number and the math almost nobody runs. The quiet regular in your chair is the best marketing you will ever have, and he works for free. That's the whole game, and almost nobody in this industry is playing this game on purpose. Most barbers pour everything they've got into the front door. New faces, new follows, the next walk-in, and they just let the Marcuses kind of happen. But the Marcus is where the money actually is. The frequency and the years are where the money's at. The front door is the most expensive, most exhausting way to grow, and it's the only one most of us ever work. Now, I can hear the objection because I've made it myself. Yeah, that's real cute, Dave. My clients don't all come every 2 weeks. I've got guys I see once a season if I'm lucky. Run the number on them too. Because guess what it shows you? The man who comes every 5 weeks isn't a worse client, he's just a different one. And the number tells you exactly how to treat him. 10 visits a year instead of 26 means every single visit carries more than double the weight. So the finish matters more, the end of the appointment matters more, and the rebook matters more. And the nudge to come back in every 4 weeks instead of 6 is worth real money on that guy specifically. You're not judging clients by the number. You're using the number to know where to actually put your attention. So let's not leave this floating up in the abstract. Come run one number with me right now while we're sitting here. Don't overthink it. Don't go grab a calculator. Just follow along. Pick the client who's been sitting in your chair the longest. You already know who it is. You thought of their face before I even finished the sentence. Now we're going to take 3 numbers. First number, what's a normal visit with them actually worth? Not your menu price, what they really average once you count the beard trim they get sometimes, the product they grab on the way out the door, the cash tip if it's a cash guy. Round it, but just land on a number. Second number, how many times a year do they come in? Every 2 weeks is 26 times. Once a month is 12 times. Every 3 weeks, you could call it 17. You don't need to be exact for this one, just get close. Third number, how many years have they been sitting in your chair? 1, 3, 10? Now multiply those three together in your head. Visit value times visits a year times the years. So I'm going to do one out loud here, and you'll hear how fast it stacks up. Let's say your guy averages $45 a visit, everything in. Let's say he comes every 3 weeks, so 17 times a year. That's already about $760 a year off of one person. Now, say he's been in your chair for 4 years. That puts him a little over $3,000. One client, $3,000. That's $3,000 that you've probably had filed in your head this whole time as a $45 haircut. And the regulars who make it to 4 years usually make it to 8. So the real number, the part that's still coming, is double that yet again. So hold whatever number you just landed on for your own guy. I'd bet money that it's 4 figures. For a bunch of you, it's 5. And here's the thing that should stop you for a second. You have been carrying that person around in your head as a $40 haircut this whole time. They were never a $40 haircut. They were that number that you just calculated, and you didn't have it until right now. So when you know what one client is worth, every decision you've been agonizing over gets easier. Should you raise your prices? You're not guessing anymore. You can see exactly what a small bump does across a 6-year client. Is it worth staying late for one more walk-in or going home and texting the 3 regulars who haven't rebooked? You know which one's worth more now. Is that $10 discount cheap, or is it actually expensive? Depends entirely on whether it's pulling in a Marcus or just shaving money off of one you already had. You can't answer a single one of those without the number. With it, they answer themselves. Now zoom all the way out, because this is where it stops being one nice story about Marcus and it starts being about your actual career. You didn't have one Marcus. You've got a chair full of them in every different size. Some are brand new, and you didn't know yet what they'd become. Some only come a few times a year. But picture your whole book, every regular you've got, and run a careful average across all of them. A working barber who holds a chair for years is often sitting on $250,000 or more of lifetime value moving in and out of that one station over time. That's not a job. That's a business with a real, countable value. And you own the whole thing. Most barbers never once see it that way because they're staring at today's $40 and they never look at the book. The day you start seeing the book is the day you start guarding it like it's worth what it's actually worth. And here's the line I want you all to sit on. Knowing what one client is worth is the exact moment you stop running a hobby and you start running a business. Same chair, same hands, same haircuts, but a completely different barber because now you can see the thing the whole job was actually about. Here's what I want from you. Who's your Marcus? The client that's been in your chair the longest. Don't run the number yet. Just drop the name in the comments. I want to see how deep the loyalty in this room actually runs. Okay, before we get back to the chair, I want to step out of my own head for a minute because timing on this one is almost too good. You know the company Squire. They run the booking and payment software for thousands of barbershops. They just put out their big State of Barbershops report for 2026, and this isn't a survey where they just ask 40 guys how they feel. This is an actual report. They looked at nearly 14 million haircuts across about 7,000 shops. Real behavior, real money, a full year of it. And it backs up almost every word that we just talked about. So let me pull 3 things out of it that you should actually know. First one, and this is the headline of their entire report. Their words, not mine. Retention is the growth driver. The fastest growing shops in the country right now are not the ones running ads chasing strangers. They're the ones winning the rebook. We're talking repeat clients, not new faces. That's what's separating the top shops from everyone else. And then they dropped the number that genuinely stopped me. About 48% of clients are one and done. Nearly half of everybody who sits in a barber's chair never comes back a second time. They're gone after one visit. And the ones who do come back are coming in about every 48 days on average. You could call it 7 weeks, which lands around 7 haircuts a year. Sit with that first number because it's the whole show today in one statistic. Nearly half of the people in your chair are a Marcus you never got to build. Every one of them could have been 6 years of Tuesdays, and instead, they were one and gone. And most barbers never even clocked which ones walked. So when I tell you the money is in the regular, understand that's not me being sentimental behind my own chair. That's 14 million haircuts saying it. There's an old business line, and it gets thrown around, that nudging your retention up just 5% can lift your profit 25% or more. This is that in a barbershop. The barber who turns even a slice of that one and done half in 2-week regulars he out-earns the guy grinding for new faces, and he never cuts a single extra head to do it. Second story. Watch what the smartest shops are actually doing about this. They're creating memberships. According to the industry numbers, barbershop membership and subscription plans grew about 20% last year. One of the fastest jumps in any service business out there. Shops are rolling out a monthly price, a set fee for a couple of haircuts a month, and locking guys in. Picture a $99 a month plan sold to just 30 clients. That's nearly $3,000 in the bank on the first of the month before anybody has to cut a single head. Here's what that means for you. And you do not have to go start a membership tomorrow to take this lesson. Look at what those shops are actually doing. They ran the exact math we just ran on Marcus. They looked at what a regular is worth over the long haul, and they said, why am I waiting for that to trickle in $40 at a time on a Tuesday? Let me lock that in up front. The whole leading edge of this trade is betting on frequency and the regular, not just the walk-in. It's the same lesson from today's main segment. They just turned it into a product you can buy. Third one, and this changes where the relationship even starts. That same report says roughly 2 out of 3 bookings now happen through self-service. The client booking themselves. No phone call at all, nobody at a front desk. And about a quarter of those bookings happen between 6 at night and midnight. People are locking in their next cut from the couch at 11 o'clock. On top of that, 76% of clients say the booking being easy matters to them just as much as the haircut themselves. And your real storefront isn't your window on the street anymore. It's your Google reviews. In the biggest markets, 83% of shops are already sitting at 4.5 stars or better. So what does that all mean for building your Marcus? It means the relationship now starts before he ever even sits down in your chair. If a guy can't book you at 11 o'clock at night from his phone, and if your reviews don't hold up the second he checks, you never even got the shot to turn him into a regular. The chair is still where you keep a client, but the phone now is where you get one. You can be the best barber in your entire city and lose a $6,000 relationship before it ever starts over a clunky booking link and a couple of reviews you never asked for. One more quick, because it's almost funny and it makes a point. That same report, it traced the price of a haircut back over the last 125 years. In 1900, the going rate was a quarter, 25 cents, 2 bits. That's literally where the old phrase comes from. By the year 2000, about $20. Today, the national average sits at $43, and it's climbing faster now than it ever has in decades. But here's the part that actually matters. Even at 43, haircut prices still haven't kept up with rent, housing, and what it actually costs to live and run a shop. So if you've been sitting on the same price for 3 or 4 years because raising it feels wrong, you have to understand the math has been moving against you the whole time. Standing still on price isn't holding steady. It's slowly falling behind. We get all the way into that next week. Put all of it together and it's telling one story. And it's the same one we've been telling the entire show today. The money in this trade has moved. It's not sitting at the front door with new faces anymore. It's in the regular, the frequency, the years. The entire industry is reorganizing itself around the exact number we ran on one guy named Marcus. That's not my hunch from working behind my chair. That's where the whole trade is actually going. You need to get there first. Let's talk about the part of the cut that actually decides whether Marcus ever becomes a Marcus. It's the finish, the last 90 seconds. Most barbers mentally clock out the second the cut is technically done. The shape is there, the fade is clean, and in their head, the job's over. So they rush to the end, quick brush off, snap the cape off, next. The client feels that. They can't always name it, but they feel the difference between a barber who finished and a barber who just kind of stopped. The finish is where you slow down on purpose, throw a hot towel on the neck, a real check on the outline of the haircut, not just a glance. Detail the edges like the first 10 minutes mattered as much as the last. Style it the way they're actually going to wear it, and tell them how to get it back when they're home. Then hand them the mirror like you're proud of it, because you should be. And here's where this lives in an episode about what a client is worth. The cut is the one thing they came in for. The finish is the thing they remember. Nobody walks out of the shop telling their buddy about a clean number 2 on the sides. They walk out and tell their friend how it felt to sit in your chair, how you took your time, how you sent them off looking sharper than they expected. That feeling is the whole reason they come back in 2 weeks instead of 5. And 2 weeks instead of 5, as we just did the math on, is the entire ball game. That 90 seconds is the cheapest retention tool you will ever have. It costs you a minute and a half, and it's the difference between a guy who thinks you're fine and a guy who books his next one before he's even out the door. Slow down the last 90 seconds. Watch what it does to your rebook rate. Before I get into the hot take, a couple from the inbox that I want to hit. Here's one that came in this week. A barber named Devin out of Columbus, Ohio writes in. He says, I've got regulars I genuinely like, but my chair still feels like a treadmill. New face, new face, new face, and I never feel like I get ahead. What am I doing wrong? Devin, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not doing anything wrong with your hands. You're doing the exact thing we just spent the main segment on. You're working the front door, sprinting at strangers, and you're letting the back of the shop, the regulars, the Marcuses just sort of happen on their own. That treadmill feeling you're describing, that's the tell. That's what it feels like to grow a business one stranger at a time. And remember that stat from the news segment? Nearly half of new clients never come back. So the treadmill isn't just tiring, it's leaking. Flip it for a month. Work your same hours, same effort, but point it in the other direction. Text 5 of your regulars who've gone a little quiet. Lock in the next appointment before anyone's out of the chair, and treat people who already trust you like they're the business, because they are. The treadmill stops the second you stop running toward the people who don't know you and turn around to the clientele that's already standing behind you. Thank you for writing in, Devin. Keep them coming. Mail at beforethechop.com. Here's one thing that's going to sting a little, because it's about the clients you love the most. Think about your most loyal client, the one who's been with you since the beginning. They never miss. They refer you to everybody. And now answer this question honestly. When's the last time you raised their price? For most of you, the answer is never. The clients who've been there the longest are very often the ones paying the least, because raising the loyal ones feels like a betrayal. So you raise the new people, and you let the day ones ride on the old number out of some kind of loyalty tax that you're basically paying to yourself. I need you to see that for what it actually is. Your most valuable clients, the $6,000 Marcuses, the ones who the whole business is built on, are the ones you've decided to charge the least. You've got the math exactly upside down. You're discounting the people worth the most, and you're calling it loyalty. Loyalty runs both ways. A client who's been with you 6 years didn't stay for the price. They stayed for you. They will be fine with a fair raise because they were never in it for the extra $10 in the first place. The only person who thinks they'll walk is you. The discount is not loyalty. It's fear wearing loyalty's jacket. Charge your best clients like they're your best clients. Let's get practical for a minute, because a number you don't do anything with is just trivia. So what does knowing this all actually change when you walk in tomorrow morning? 3 things, and you can start with all 3 this week. First, the rebook. The single highest value 90 seconds in your entire day is the moment a regular is standing up out of your chair. That is when you lock in the next one. Not see you whenever, a real specific, you want to grab the same time in 2 weeks? And you put it on the book while they're still standing there. You already did the math on what 2 weeks instead of 5 is worth across a year. The rebook is where you actually go collect it. Most barbers leave it on the table every single day because it feels pushy. It's not pushy, it's the job. Second, the quiet ones. Tonight, I want you to pull up your book and find the 3 or 4 regulars you haven't seen in a while. Not the ones who got mad and left, the ones who just slipped away because life got busy and you fell off their mental radar. Those aren't lost clients. Those are 4-figure relationships sitting one friendly text away from walking back in. Hey man, realize it's been a minute. You good? I've got Thursday open at 3:30 if you want it. That's all you have to do. Most barbers will chase a brand new stranger all day long and never reach back for the regular who already loves them. Be the barber who reaches back. And third, your prices. You cannot have an honest conversation with yourself about raising your rate until you know what a single client is actually worth across all the years that they stay. Once you've got that number, a $5 bump stops feeling scary and starts looking like exactly what it is. A small change with a long tail. We get all the way into how to do that, and what to actually say when somebody pushes back next week. None of this takes a new skill. None of it takes a single new follower. It takes seeing the number and then having the discipline to actually do something about it the very next day. Before we close today out, I want to take you back because what we're talking about today is not new. It might be the oldest thing in this trade. Let me tell you about a barber named Alonzo Herndon. He was born into slavery in Georgia in 1858. When the war ended, he was 7 years old, freed into nothing. His family were sharecroppers. They were dead broke. At 20, he left home on foot with $11 to his name and about 1 year of school in his entire life. And the trade he picked up, the one that gave a black man in the South a real way up in those days, was barbering. He started with 1 chair. He got good, he got known, and he kept building, until he owned the finest barbershop in the South, a place in downtown Atlanta they called the Crystal Palace. It had 23 chairs, gold mirrors, chandeliers, the whole thing. The most powerful men in the city sat in those chairs. Here's the part I want you to watch. Herndon never saw a man in his chair as just a haircut. He saw the relationship. And he understood the thing that most barbers never do, that what you build in that chair, the trust, the loyalty, the standing, is worth more than the price of any single haircut. In 1905, he took what those chairs had earned, and he bought a failing little insurance company for around $140. He grew it into Atlanta Life. It's one of the largest black-owned businesses in the country, and he became the first black millionaire in the city of Atlanta, a man who started with $11 and a pair of clippers. That company he built with barbershop money, it's still in business today, 120 years later. And it all started with one client, and then another, and then another, and then a room full of regulars who kept coming back. So when the business world hands you a fancy term like lifetime value, just know that barbers have had a word for it the entire time. We call it a regular. The math is new. The thing the math is pointing at is as old as the trade itself. So here's the challenge, and it takes about 5 minutes. We did a quick one earlier today, in your head. Now here's the real one. Do it on paper. Take that regular, the one whose name you just dropped in the comments, the one who's been with you the longest, and actually run their number this week. What a typical visit with them is usually worth, everything in. How many times a year they come, how many years they've been coming. Multiply it out and find out what one human being is actually worth to you. And if you want the version that'll really change how you walk into the shop, do it for your top 5. 5 names, 5 numbers, and add them up. That's a piece of your book in dollars sitting right there in front of you. And I'm telling you, the number is going to be bigger than you think. And it's going to change how you see them when they sit back down in your chair. Run it on one, then come back and tell me what it came out to. I want us to realize what's actually been sitting in our chairs this whole time. So the next time someone settles into your chair, try to see what's actually there. Not a $40 haircut, a Marcus, 6 years of Tuesdays, thousands of dollars, and a real relationship just getting started. That shift from haircut to human is this whole job. Hearn didn't understand it he understood it 100 years ago. The whole industry is figuring it out again right now, and you took it home today. We covered a lot, so let me leave you with the one thing. Every person in your chair is worth more than the cut in front of you. And the barbers who build a real career are the ones who can see it, protect it, and act on it. The math is just the one thing that finally lets you see it. If today's episode moved the needle for you, pass it on to a barber who's been chasing new faces and missing the gold that's already sitting in their chair. Next Monday, we go a step further. If a client is worth that much, why do so many of us charge like they're worth a single cut? We get into why barbers undercharge, what that habit costs you, and exactly how to raise a price without losing the person. Same time, 11:30 Mountain, 1:30 Eastern. Hit subscribe so you're here for it. I'm David Ford. This is Before the Chop. Get behind the chair, chop some hair, and go crush it.